The last guest finally walked out the door at 11:30, leaving behind empty wine glasses and the lingering smell of expensive perfume. Maya stood in her doorway, waving goodbye with that same bright smile she'd worn all evening, waiting until the footsteps faded down the hallway before letting her face fall. Her cheeks hurt. Actually hurt like she'd been holding them in an unnatural position for hours, which she realized she had been. "You don't have to keep smiling now," came a gentle voice from behind her. "They're gone." Maya turned to find Alex still there, sleeves rolled up, already collecting plates from the coffee table. She'd almost forgotten he'd stayed behind while everyone else rushed off to their Saturday night plans. He moved quietly through her apartment, stacking dishes with the careful attention of someone who understood that cleanup was just as important as the party itself. "You don't have to do that," she said, closing the door and leaning against it. The wood felt cool against her back, solid and real in a way that the evening's conversations hadn't been. "I know I don't have to," Alex replied, carrying a stack of plates toward the kitchen, "but I want to help." Maya watched him disappear around the corner and felt something strange settle in her chest. All evening, people had complimented her apartment, her cooking, her dress, her new promotion at work. They'd told her how amazing she looked, how together she seemed, how they wished they had her life figured out the way she did. If only they knew. She pushed off from the door and followed Alex into the kitchen, where he was already running water in the sink. The sound was oddly comforting after hours of laughter and chatter, and the constant background hum of people trying to impress each other. "The dinner was really good," Alex said, testing the water temperature. "That pasta thing you made? I've never had anything like it." Maya picked up a dish towel, grateful for something to do with her hands. "It's my grandmother's recipe. She taught me when I was 12. The words came out easier than they had all evening, lacking the polished delivery she'd used when others had asked about the food. "She must be proud of you," Alex said, handing her a clean plate to dry. Maya paused, the plate halfway to the towel. "She passed away last month." The words hung in the air between them, heavier than anything she'd shared during dinner. All evening, people had asked how she was doing, and she'd given them the same rehearsed answers about work being busy but good, about life being full and exciting. Nobody had asked twice. Nobody had looked long enough to see past the surface. But Alex stopped washing dishes and turned to look at her. Really look at her, and something in his expression made her hands shake slightly. "I'm sorry," he said simply. "That must be really hard." Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. She'd been to the funeral, of course. Had organized most of it, actually, because that's what everyone expected from her. Maya, who had it all together. Maya, who could handle anything. Maya, who never let anyone see her struggle. They worked in comfortable quiet for a while, the rhythm of washing and drying somehow soothing after hours of performing. Alex didn't try to fill the silence with small talk or awkward condolences. He just stayed present, handing her dishes and occasionally humming under his breath. "Can I ask you something?" Maya found herself saying as she put away the last of the glasses. "Sure. Do you ever get tired of pretending everything's fine?" Alex dried his hands on a kitchen towel, considering the question seriously. "Yeah," he said finally. "Most days, actually. But tonight felt different." "Different how?" "I don't know. Maybe because you seem tired of it too." Maya felt something crack inside her chest like ice breaking on a lake in spring. All evening, she'd been the perfect hostess, asking the right questions, laughing at the right moments, sharing just enough personal information to seem open without actually revealing anything real. She talked about her promotion like it was everything she'd ever wanted, when really it meant longer hours and more pressure and less time for the things that actually mattered. She'd made jokes about being too busy for dating when the truth was she hadn't felt genuinely connected to another person in months. She'd served her grandmother's pasta recipe and smiled when people asked where she'd learned to cook so well, never mentioning that making that particular dish was the closest she'd felt to family since the funeral. "I am tired," she admitted quietly, surprising herself with the honesty. Alex leaned against the counter, giving her his full attention in a way that felt both comfortable and terrifying. "Tired of what?" Maya opened her mouth to give him an easy answer, something light and manageable. Instead, she found herself really thinking about it. Tired of waking up every morning and deciding who to be that day. Tired of curating her life to look impressive on social media while eating dinner alone most nights. Tired of being the friend everyone called for advice but never thought to check on. Tired of being successful and accomplished and completely, utterly lonely. Everything, she said instead, because the real answer felt too big for her kitchen, too raw for someone she'd only recently started to know. But Alex nodded like he understood anyway, like that one word contained multitudes he recognized. "You want some tea?" Maya asked, suddenly desperate to keep him there a little longer, to hold on to this moment where she didn't have to perform or impress or be anything other than tired. "Yeah," Alex said. "I'd like that." As Maya put the kettle on, she caught her reflection in the kitchen window. Her makeup was still perfect, her hair still styled, her dress still wrinkle-free. She looked exactly like the successful, put-together woman everyone had complimented all evening. But something in her eyes looked different now. Something that hadn't been there during dinner, when she'd been busy being the version of herself she thought everyone wanted to see. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was relief. Or maybe it was the first glimpse of something she'd been hiding for so long she'd almost forgotten it existed. The real her. The kettle whistled softly in the quiet kitchen, steam rising like a gentle signal that the evening was shifting into something different. Maya reached for 2 mugs from the cabinet, her movements slower now, more deliberate. The rush of hosting was over. The performance had ended. And now there was just this, 2 people in a kitchen, making tea. Alex watched her move around the small space, noting how she seemed to breathe easier, now that the guests were gone. Her shoulders had dropped slightly, and she wasn't checking her reflection in every surface anymore. There was something beautiful about watching someone relax, he thought, like seeing a flower open after being closed all day. "Chamomile or green tea?" Maya asked, holding up 2 boxes. "Whatever you're having." She chose chamomile, dropping the tea bags into both mugs with practiced ease. "My grandmother always said chamomile could fix almost anything." "Couldn't sleep?" "Chamomile." "Bad day at work?" "Chamomile." "Broken heart?" "Chamomile and honey." Alex smiled at the memory she was sharing. Did it work? "Sometimes," Maya said, pouring the hot water. "Maybe it wasn't really the tea, though. Maybe it was just having someone care enough to make it for you." The words hung between them, carrying more weight than casual conversation. Alex understood what she meant. It wasn't about the tea itself, but about the act of someone taking time to comfort you, to sit with you in whatever you were going through. They moved to the living room, settling on opposite ends of her couch with their steaming mugs. The apartment looked different now without all the people filling it. More personal somehow. Alex noticed things he hadn't seen during the party. A stack of books with worn covers on the side table. A blanket draped over the armchair that looked soft and well-used. Photos on the bookshelf that showed a different side of Maya than the polished version everyone had seen tonight. "Tell me about this one," Alex said, nodding toward a photo of Maya with an older woman, both of them laughing at something off camera. Maya's face softened as she looked at the picture. "That's my grandmother. We were at the farmer's market. She was trying to convince the vendor that his tomatoes weren't ripe enough yet. She was probably right, but she was so serious about it. I couldn't stop laughing. She looks like she had strong opinions about things." "Oh, she did. About everything. Tomatoes, politics, the right way to fold laundry. Why young people don't call enough." Maya's voice carried fondness and grief in equal measure. She would have loved tonight's dinner. Not the party part with all the small talk, but the food. She would have wanted to know exactly what I'd changed about her recipe. Alex took a sip of his tea, letting Maya talk. He'd learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do for someone is just listen. Really listen, without trying to fix anything or offer advice they didn't ask for. "Did you change it?" he asked gently. "A little. I added more garlic. She always said I was too heavy-handed with spices, but I think she secretly liked it." Maya paused, staring into her mug. "It's funny how you don't realize you're learning family recipes until the person teaching you isn't there anymore." The room grew quiet, except for the distant hum of traffic outside. Alex could see Maya wrestling with something, the way her fingers traced the rim of her mug and how she kept glancing at him and then looking away. "Can I tell you something?" Maya said finally, her voice smaller than it had been all evening. "Of course. I don't think anyone really knows me anymore." The words came out in a rush, like she'd been holding them back for a long time. "I mean, they know the version of me that shows up to things like tonight. The one who has her life together and makes good pasta, and always has the right thing to say. But I don't think anyone knows what I'm actually like when I'm alone." Alex set down his mug and turned to face her fully. What do you like when you're alone? Maya let out a small laugh that didn't sound entirely happy. Messier, I eat cereal for dinner sometimes and watch the same TV show episodes over and over. Because they're comfortable. I talk to my plants like they're people. I cry at commercials, especially the ones about dogs or families or grandmothers baking cookies. She was looking at her hands now, not at him, as if admitting these things was somehow shameful. Alex found himself wanting to tell her that none of those things sounded messy at all. They sounded human. I have full conversations with my houseplants, Alex said quietly. Especially my basil plant. I tell him about my day, ask his opinion on things. I'm pretty sure the neighbors think I'm talking to someone who lives with me. Maya looked up at him, surprise flickering across her face. Really? Really? And I've watched the same documentary about penguins probably 15 times because it makes me feel calm. There's something about the narrator's voice that helps when I'm anxious. Something shifted in Maya's expression, a small crack in the wall she'd built around herself. You get anxious? All the time. Especially in social situations like tonight. I spent the first hour of your party hiding in the bathroom practicing conversations in the mirror. Maya stared at him, processing this information. Here was Alex, who had seemed so comfortable all evening, so naturally good at talking to people, admitting that he'd been nervous too. It was like discovering that someone you thought was fearless was actually just as scared as you were, but chose to show up anyway. I thought you were so relaxed tonight, she said. You seem to know exactly what to say to everyone. I was terrified, Alex admitted with a smile. But you made it easier. Watching you take care of everyone, making sure they felt welcome, it made me want to help instead of hide. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both of them processing this exchange of small truths. Maya realized this was the first real conversation she'd had in weeks, maybe months. Not networking, not catching up, not the careful dance of social interaction, but actual connection. How are you really doing? Alex asked suddenly, and something in the way he said it made Maya's breath catch. It wasn't the casual question people asked while passing in hallways or at the beginning of phone calls. It was deeper than that, patient in a way that suggested he actually wanted to hear the answer, whatever it might be. Maya opened her mouth to give him the standard response. Busy but good, can't complain, living the dream. The words felt stale before she could even say them. Instead, she found herself really considering the question. How was she really doing? What if she didn't have to be fine? The question echoed in Maya's mind as she stared at Alex. This person who had somehow walked into her carefully controlled life and asked the one thing no one else had thought to ask. Not how her job was going, not whether she was dating anyone, not when she was planning her next vacation. Just this simple, impossible question that made her entire world feel like it was tilting. I don't know how to not be fine, she whispered, and the admission felt like stepping off solid ground into something unknown. Alex shifted slightly on the bed, turning to face her more fully. What would happen if you tried? Maya let out a shaky breath. I think people would be disappointed. My boss expects me to handle everything without complaining. My friends call me when they need advice because I'm the one who always knows what to do. My mom talks to me about Dad's health issues because I don't fall apart like my sister does. As she spoke, Maya could feel something loosening inside her chest, like a knot that had been pulled tight for months was finally starting to unravel. Everyone has this idea of who I am, she continued, her voice getting stronger. Strong Maya, successful Maya, Maya who bounces back from everything. And I've worked so hard to be that person that I don't even know who I'd be without it. She stood up and walked to the window, pulling back the curtain to look out at the street below. A few people were walking home from late dinners or bars, moving through their Saturday night lives while hers felt like it was coming apart in her bedroom. When my grandmother got sick, Maya said, her back still turned to Alex, I took charge of everything. Doctor appointments, insurance paperwork, coordinating with the rest of the family. Everyone kept saying how grateful they were that I was handling it all. Her reflection in the window looked ghostly, translucent like she was already fading away. But I wasn't handling it, she said, her voice cracking. I was drowning. Every night I'd come home and sit in my car in the parking garage and cry for 20 minutes before going upstairs. I'd practice normal conversations in the mirror so I could answer the phone and sound like everything was under control. Maya turned around, and Alex could see tears starting to gather in her eyes. The night she died, I was at the hospital filling out forms while she was asking for me. The nurse had to come find me in the hallway because I was arguing with someone about insurance coverage while my grandmother was taking her last breaths. The words came out in a rush now, like floodwaters breaking through a dam, all the things she'd never told anyone, all the guilt and fear and exhaustion she'd been carrying alone. "I missed it," she said, sitting back down on the bed heavily. "I missed saying goodbye because I was too busy being responsible. Too busy being the capable one who takes care of everything." Alex didn't try to reassure her that it wasn't her fault, or that she'd done the best she could. He just listened, and somehow that felt more comforting than any words would have been. After the funeral, everyone kept telling me how strong I was, how well I'd handled everything, how my grandmother would be proud of how I'd taken care of the family. Maya laughed, but it sounded more like a sob, and I just stood there nodding and saying thank you while inside I was screaming that I'd failed at the only thing that really mattered. She looked down at her hands, noticing for the first time that they were shaking slightly. "I haven't been in a grocery store since then," she admitted quietly. "Not a real one. I order everything online because the last time I tried to shop, I had a panic attack in the cereal aisle. Something about all the choices, all the bright colors and loud music and people rushing around, I couldn't breathe." Maya fell silent, surprised by how much she'd just revealed. She'd never told anyone about the grocery store incident, or about crying in her car, or about the crushing weight of everyone's expectations. "I eat takeout most nights," she continued, the words coming easier now, "because cooking her recipes makes me miss her too much. And I work late because coming home to an empty apartment reminds me that I'm alone now, in a way I've never been before." Alex was quiet for a long moment, and Maya found herself holding her breath, waiting for him to say something that would make her regret opening up, or to offer solutions she didn't want, or to tell her she was being too dramatic. Instead, he said, "That sounds really hard." 3 simple words that somehow contained more understanding than all the well-meaning advice she'd received over the past months. "It is hard," Maya said, and felt something release in her chest at the acknowledgement. "It's so hard, and I'm tired of pretending it's not." She lay back on the bed staring at the ceiling, feeling drained but somehow lighter at the same time, like she'd been holding her breath for months and was finally able to exhale. "I think about quitting my job sometimes," she said to the ceiling. "Not because I hate it, but because I don't know if the person I'm becoming there is someone I actually like. I smile at people I don't care about and laugh at jokes that aren't funny and pretend to be excited about projects that feel meaningless." Alex lay back beside her, both of them staring up at the white ceiling like it held answers to questions they were afraid to ask. "My apartment is too clean," Maya continued, surprised by her own honesty. "I spend Sunday mornings organizing things that don't need to be organized because if everything looks perfect, maybe I can convince myself that I am too. But I'm not perfect. I'm messy and sad and confused most of the time." She turned her head to look at Alex. "And I'm lonely. Even when I'm surrounded by people at parties like tonight, I feel completely alone, like I'm watching my life happen to someone else." The admission hung between them in the quiet room. Maya had never said those words out loud before, that she was lonely, that the life everyone envied felt empty to her. "I don't want to be strong anymore," she whispered. "Just for a little while, I don't want to have to be the one who has everything figured out." Alex turned his head to meet her gaze, and in his eyes she saw acceptance, not judgment. "Understanding, not pity. You don't have to be strong right now," he said gently. "Not with me." And for the first time in months, Maya felt like she could stop holding up the world and just be human.